Hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, What's New at Country Walkers in 2017. We're really happy to have all of you here with us for this special presentation. Now, before I turn it over to our presenters, we wanted to ask you a question because we're going to tailor-make our presentation today based on your response to this question. And what we'd like to know is if you've ever traveled with us in the past. So if you would please take a moment and just click into the screen and give us a yes or no whether you've traveled with us in the past. I'll leave it up for just a moment while we're waiting for everyone to respond. And once we've got that information collected, we will go ahead and get started with the webinar. Okay, so I'll make a last call for that. It looks like most of you have responded. So I am going to close the poll, and I love this. 67% of you have traveled with us before, and that means 33% of you are with us and learning about us, perhaps maybe for the first time today. So we're just delighted to have you all here. So let's go ahead and get started with the webinar now. And we are here today with our Vice President of Worldwide Product Operations, Jamen Yeaton-Masi, and also our Reservations Manager, Laura Breen. And I'd like to start by turning it over to Jamen. Jamen, the floor is yours. Oh, and it would help if I unmuted you. There we go. Let's try that again, Jamen. Welcome.
Great. Thank you, Lee. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. And I think it's quite interesting that 67% of you are past guests, because we always like to tell folks that over 65% of our travelers are past guests. Most of our guests come to us either by referral or they've traveled with us before. So thank you for your loyalty to Country Walkers. And I'm going to be talking about what's new and exciting for Country Walkers. It's always my distinct pleasure to do that. But I do want to start off with just a quick introduction to Country Walkers, who we are and what we do, for those of you who have never traveled with us before. I also am going to spend just a couple of minutes talking about our different styles of travel, and then our new tours. And then I'll be handing it over to Laura to talk a bit more about some of our new and exciting guest benefits. So to start, Country Walkers has been in business for over 37 years, and I'm starting to feel my age because I've been with the company myself for going on 19 years. And I've been very involved in working with our team to craft the worldwide itineraries that we offer. And we offer really three different styles of travel. We offer guided small group walking tours, all of which can be private walking tours. So anyone can take any of our guided walking tours and make it a private tour with a group of 6 or more guests. We can request dates on your behalf and make that work for you. And those have been incredibly popular. We also introduced about 5 years ago self-guided walking, and this is actually our fastest growing style of travel. It's up about 25% in 2017. And what we're also finding is that a lot of our guests are combining a guided walking adventure with a self-guided walking tour, which is really kind of fun. Because the guided group tours are all about the group and the fun of being in a group and the knowledge of the guides, whereas the self-guided walking tours are really all about freedom and flexibility and walking at your own pace. And then we have a small collection of what we like to call active and immersive safaris. We also have a fantastic Encore Guest Loyalty Program, and Laura's going to be talking about this a bit more, but I wanted to mention this program because I will be talking about a few of our Encore-only departures. And to become an Encore guest, all you need to do is travel with us once, and then you're actually an Encore member, and then you are automatically qualified for a number of specific benefits and invitations to Encore-only departures. And we also guarantee all of our departures. So once you've booked with us, once you've picked a date and paid a deposit, we will never cancel a trip. And we really like to tell folks that it makes it worry-free. So once you've booked with us, you can book your air, you can make your plans, and not worry about it moving forward.
That's a great point, Jamen. Our guests love guaranteed departures. It's so easy. It's such a peace of mind that they can just book their vacation time and their flights and be totally confirmed.
Thanks, Laura. And then, so moving on to guided walking adventures. This is really the bulk of our business. We've been doing guided walking adventures since we started. And the tours range from easy to challenging, and they're worldwide. We offer them winter, year-round, spring, summer, fall, throughout the world, in Europe, Eastern, Western Europe, Latin America, Asia, New Zealand, throughout North America. We also offer some off-the-beaten-path locations. In fact, our most popular trip for the second year running has been Iceland. Our guests absolutely love our Iceland tour. It's a direct flight from parts of the East Coast of the United States, and just phenomenal geography. So, and then of course Central Europe. We have tours all throughout Spain, France, Italy, Croatia. Slovenia was a new trip last year that is also proving to be really popular. And this is a picture of our 2017 Guided Walking Adventure Catalog. So if you don't have that on your coffee table, please give us a ring or log on to our website to request that. We also always utilize local guides, expert local guides from the region within which you are walking. And the guides are with you 24/7, meaning that they are with you on the walks, they're with you at your meals, they stay in the same hotels as you. They're with you at dinner, which means that they're great at creating lively conversations, making sure that you know what you're eating, talking a little bit about what's on the menu, helping you select wines, because we have all-inclusive pricing, which means that we always include local wine and beer with the dinners. And we do include most meals on the tour. Generally, we have one, what we call free lunch or dinner, which gives you the opportunity to break away from the group a little bit. Some people really enjoy having a lighter meal on those nights, since we do include a lot of great food. And so sometimes people use that opportunity to, say, go to a pub in Ireland and just have a burger and pint, or eat some tapas in Spain, or head out to dinner with a newfound friend, or perhaps your spouse. We also include special visits and inclusions. So most of our tours include some kind of a special activity, be it wine tasting, cheese tasting. It might be kayaking, or a visit to the hot springs and Olympic National Park, or a private whale watch on our Quebec tour. And we use lovely, authentic accommodations that ideally are locally owned, very close to the walks, offer great service, great food, and really let you know where you are. We try to pick properties that really kind of give you a sense of the area, such as a restored villa in Italy or a wilderness lodge in New Zealand. We also pride ourselves on the meals. We really utilize our local guides who live in the region to help us pick some of the best restaurants, and we try to serve what's fresh and local from the area. And we also have a fantastic single share program that, again, Laura will be talking about a bit later. But as part of that, I just wanted to mention that we do have a lot of folks who travel with us as solo travelers. In fact, over 60% of our guests are solo travelers. It doesn't necessarily mean they're single. It may mean that they're married, or they're traveling with a friend or a daughter. But we just like to let folks know that we really embrace solo travelers, and we try to offer a lot of benefits for folks traveling on their own. So that's just a quick introduction to our country walkers. I also wanted to mention just a few things about the guided walking adventures too that make it unique, is that our groups are quite small. We always have no more than 16 guests on a North America trip, and no more than 18 guests on an international trip. And the average group size is about 12. So what does that mean? That means that when you're on the trail, you're walking in a small group, you're really able to benefit from the storytelling and the knowledge of your guides. And it's also good for the environment. It also means you're more welcomed on national park trails or in small villages. So, jumping into the new guided walking adventures. We have three new tours in 2017, including New Brunswick, Bay of Fundy, and Campobello Island, Spain, Barcelona to the Costa Brava, and France, Lavender and Provence. And the Lavender and Provence, a few of you may have noticed that on our website this year in 2016 because it was offered as an encore-only departure, meaning that it was open to past guests only. But in 2017, it is open to everyone. Limited departures, though, in June during the peak lavender season. So a bit about each of these tours. I'm going to start with the New Brunswick Bay of Fundy and Campobello Island. And this tour is really unique. I had the pleasure of joining what we call our prototype tour this past summer. And basically our prototype tour is when we offer a tour to a small group of past guests that we escort about a year before we launch the tour in order to kind of work out the kinks and to get feedback from the guests. And we had a small group. There were 2 of us from the office escorting it, and we had a lot of laughs and a lot of fun along the way. It is an absolutely beautiful area, and I do believe we're one of the few, if not the only companies offering this tour in this area with active walking every day. It includes 3 areas, the Bay of Fundy area, Campobello Island, and St. Andrews by the Sea. And the walks are really quite easy. They're easy to moderate. The departures are offered in June, July, and September. And a few of the highlights of the trip, well, first of all, the walking. This is a picture on the right-hand top corner of the Bay of Fundy, which is a UNESCO site. And of course, if you've heard of Bay of Fundy, you know about the tide. It has some of the highest tide changes in the world. So the walking was really phenomenal in that at high tide, you'd be walking on the cliff tops above the beaches. And at low tide, you'd either be walking above and looking down at the flower stacks and these miles of beautiful, pristine beaches, or you could be walking down on the beach exploring some of the sea caves. We also spent a couple of nights on Campobello Island walking on the beautiful trails there. And if any of you have been to Acadia National Park in Maine, you're probably familiar with those amazing carriage trails, thanks to the Roosevelts. This was also the home of the Roosevelt family, and they also created amazing trails and carriage paths on Campobello Island. And we have the pleasure of spending 2 nights, actually, in 19th century cottages within the Roosevelt International Peace Park, which is a real treat. We also include some really fun extra inclusions, such as a beach barbecue, where we have grilled salmon and steak on the beach, local music, maritime sing-along music. In fact, our group was there well past dark around a bonfire singing late into the night. A lot of fun. We also include a lobster bake on one of the front porches of the Campobello cottage. And we do a private whale watch where we saw eagles, porpoise, seals, whales. So again, a really just fun, unique tour. Fairly easy to get to. It's flying in and out of St. John. We also had a couple of guests who drove from Boston. And it's also a tour that you can fairly easily do back-to-back with our main Acadia tour. And then jumping across the big pond, really what's proving to be a very popular new tour is our Spain, Barcelona to Costa Brava. And this tour also offers some beautiful diverse walking, ranging from walking in the Pyrenees below snow-capped peaks and in the area of over 30 volcanoes, to following in the footsteps of Salvador Dalí, to walking in whitewashed villages along the coast. Another huge highlight is the food, ranging from incredible seafood on the coast to tapas. We do a really fun multi-course tapa dinner, of course all accompanied with local Spanish wine. We also include a private boat tour along the coast. We head to an age-old monastery where we listen to an acclaimed boys choir. And we do some wonderful cheese tasting as well. And this tour does include an optional flight plus tour combo and an optional pre-tour extension in Barcelona with departures in September and October. And this is rated easy to moderate. And actually, one final highlight I would say on this tour is one of the properties we use is actually a renovated traditional farmhouse on a mountaintop within a national park, within the Pyrenees Mountains. Absolutely stunning panoramic views. It's small, so if we have a full group, we take over the whole property. And has over 1,000 acres of grounds and trails and organic gardens. So really just a really fun place to spend our first 2 nights. And then finally, our last guided walking trip that's new for next year is our Lavender and Provence. And this is just offered in June, as I mentioned before. The lavender fields are at a slightly higher area plateau in Provence, which makes it a little bit cooler for walking. And the walks range from, of course, the lavender fields to vineyards, medieval villages, the Luberon Hills, and some beautiful oak forests. Again, fantastic food, fantastic wine. We do some wonderful wine tasting, some cheese tasting. We also learn about the local wines with a master. We visit markets. And we also include some fun activities that involve the lavender, such as visiting a distillery, which makes the lavender oil. Another highlight on this tour, I would say, would be the guides. One of the guides, Mariska, has been guiding for over 25 years. She lives in Provence, in one of the villages we walk through. She's an avid mountaineer, storyteller, photographer, and she was actually one of the storytellers, or actually I should say writers, for an Everest expedition. So she's quite an accomplished woman, but just a lot of fun. And then this, sorry, just one more thing about Provence that's kind of nice is that most of our tours include 2 to 3 properties. This particular tour includes 2 properties, 3 nights at each, so it also provides a pretty relaxed pace. And the 2 properties are quite different, which makes it kind of fun. The first one is a beautiful old in-town chateau, giving you the opportunity to explore the town on your own. And then that's complemented by a beautiful sprawling country estate that's a 4-star hotel that is quite beautiful up in the hills, a bit more remote. And then moving on to self-guided walking adventures. The self-guided walking adventures, as I said, are quite different than our guided group tours. First of all, there's no group. Second of all, there's no guides. They're really private, independent, self-guided experiences. They're ideal for the more intrepid traveler, someone who's comfortable traveling without a guide, with a friend or with a small group, and someone who loves to explore and is comfortable reading route notes and maps, because they're walking from point to point, either inn to inn or as I said, point to point, with really detailed route notes and maps. And they do vary quite a bit. Some of them are very easy to follow. For example, our most popular self-guided trip is our Camino de Santiago and the pilgrimage route. It's really almost impossible to get lost on that route. We provide detailed route notes, but you can also follow the shells, the markers along the trail. But we do have some more off the beaten path self-guided tours, such as in Andalusia, that's a bit more remote, perhaps a little more in the wilderness for folks who are not comfortable being in the wilderness on their own. It may not be ideal, but again, that's what we're here for, to help you decide which tour is best for you. All of our self-guided tours include 24/7 local support. We have a local representative in each area who does an orientation meeting with you upon your arrival, provides detailed route notes, as I said, and 24/7 local support. And then, of course, we transfer your luggage from point to point when you walk. And sometimes you're walking in the inn, sometimes we include short transfers in order to get you to the more beautiful walks.
And our guests love the flexibility of being able to pick their own date. It's so easy to find a trip that's specific to your schedule and your tastes. Our tour consultants know all the trips, and they can go over all the weather and all the details to find the perfect trip that'll fit in with your schedule.
So the new self-guided walking adventures that are offered in 2017 are to Australia, one of my favorite parts of the world. And we have Australia, the Great Ocean Walk, which starts and ends in Melbourne, a great city as well. And then the Sydney to the Blue Mountains, which, as I said, starts in Sydney. And for those of you who may have the time and the resources, they can be combined back to back, really for the ultimate experience. So both of these tours offer really more moderate to challenging walking. The Great Ocean Walk follows the trail above and below and on the ocean. So I shouldn't say below, but many days you can actually choose to either walk on the cliff tops above the ocean or at low tide actually be walking down on the beach. Beautiful, pristine beaches, remote areas, incredible sea cliffs. Of course, the 12 Apostles are there. It's not uncommon to spot wild kangaroos and koalas, depending on the season, perhaps even whales. The accommodations on this tour are, I would say, more on the simple side. It's a pretty remote area with limited accommodations, but they are charming. They're small oceanside motels or inns, and some of them range from a restored lighthouse to a really beautiful wilderness eco-lodge. This particular tour also includes a guided tour with a local historian because it's such a wonderful area to learn about the history, including the pirates, the geology, the wildlife, that we wanted to include a little bit of a guided experience. It's a shorter tour for us, 6 days, 5 nights. It doesn't include time in Sydney, but we highly recommend, of course, extending your time in Sydney. And it includes most of the meals. So this one includes all of your breakfast, 4 lunches, 5 dinners, most of your meals are included. Having said that, I mentioned earlier that the self-guided trips range quite a bit in regards to the types of walking, the remoteness of the walks, and the inclusions. And the Australia tours happen to include most meals, but I will say that some of our tours are a bit more independent. So for example, on our California wine country tour, we actually do not include any of the dinners, but we include 4 wine tastings. So it's kind of region specific, and again, depending on what you're looking for, we can again help you find, you know, the best tour to meet your needs. And then our Sydney to the Blue Mountains. The Blue Mountains are a UNESCO site just about 2.5 to 3 hours north of Sydney. Absolutely spectacular walking. Truly some of the best walking I've done really in the world. The walking again ranges from cliff top to descending down into the eucalyptus and rainforest where it's very wild, huge cascades. Not a great tour for folks who might have a fear of heights because some of the walks are truly on the cliffs or built into the cliffside, but if that's something you enjoy, highly recommend it. The other nice aspect of this tour is that even though it's fairly moderate walking, the accommodations are top-notch, ranging from a 5-star resort to a couple of really beautiful deluxe bed and breakfasts. And there are really fun, charming little towns along the way. So even though you're out walking in the wilderness during the day, every night you're in one of 3 small mountain villages. And then finally, before I hand it off to Laura, I just wanted to remind everyone that we do offer some amazing CW safaris. They are not walking itineraries per se, but they are all active, immersive itineraries that include some walking. Some of the itineraries include quite a bit of walking, such as our South Africa itinerary and our Zambia bushwalk itinerary. Others include a couple of days of walking. But they all offer the best of the region. And we have guided group departures in Botswana, Namibia, Tanzania, South Africa, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. They, just like our regular guided group tours, they all are guaranteed departures, and we have set dates, or they can be taken as private itineraries. New for 16 and 17, we also have optional flight and tour combos that complement all of them, and we have 4 safari extensions that can be added to every one of the itineraries, ranging from Victoria Falls in Zambia to tracking gorillas in Rwanda. And we do have a separate website, so if you're looking on our website, looking for the safaris, please know that our website is safaris.com, cwsafaris.com versus countrywalkers.com, because we have had a few people asking, where are your safaris? We're not finding them, but we have a beautiful separate website. Again, this is a picture of our catalog. If you're curious and would like to receive it, let us know. We'd love to send it to you. So I am going to hand it over to Laura now to talk about some of our new programs and benefits.
Great. Thank you so much, Jamen. I love hearing about all those new destinations we have to offer for 2017. So I'm so happy to be here with you today talking about our new Travel Together program for 2017. By bringing your friends and family on a scheduled departure, you'll be able to have access to our flight and tour combos, but you could also join a private tour as well if you prefer a more private experience with your group, if you have 6 or more. So on either scheduled or private, you would qualify for this Travel Together program. On the schedule, I'll talk more about the flight and tour combos in a minute, and pre and post extensions, so you can actually stay a little longer and explore more as well. If you do have 6 in your group and want to do a private adventure, you can choose any trip and we can schedule it on a different date for your group. Special pricing for the private adventures can be found online and in our catalog. And then you'll also get a dedicated tour consultant to handle all of the planning and logistics for you. So when you talk to one of our tour consultants on the phone, they're always willing to help find the perfect trip, find the perfect date for you, and really make it a special experience for you and your family and friends. It could be any sort of group. It could be a club that you're in or a church group. We get all sorts of different groups of travelers coming together for the Travel Together program. Everyone would at least get 5% for the Travel Together program when you get 6 or more, and the standard guest savings would be included and capped at 10%. And then in addition to that, everybody would also get the complimentary gift, which this year is going to be a beautiful Patagonia jacket with the CW logo on it. Says Country Walkers on it, and it's going to be a really, really nice Patagonia jacket gift. So we're really excited about that. Give us a call if you'd like to learn more about that, and we'd be happy to go through those details with you. Next, I want to talk about our free single supplement program. In 2017, we're waiving 2 single supplements on each departure for 16 of our most popular guided walking adventures. These free single supplements are going really fast, so call to reserve yours now. They're going especially fast on our United States tours, so we want to make sure if you want one, call us and we'll get you reserved on one. If we are sold out of the free singles or single rooms on a departure, though, you could also participate in our solo share program. So if you're willing to have a roommate of the same gender, we'll waive that single supplement if you book outside of 91 days. And then if we're not able to match you with a roommate, then you would have your own room and still not have that single supplement. You can also visit countrywalkers.com/solo to look at a list of the departures with free single supplements available. So we keep those updated so you can see, or feel free to give our tour consultants a call and they can help find one for you. So next I want to talk about our flight and tour combos. We've been doing our flight and tour combos now for a few years, and they are so popular with our guests. They're available on all of our guided adventures outside of North America and scheduled group safaris. We've negotiated low rates for airfare, and by offering a flight and tour combo, you'll be able to book your entire package in one phone call, so it really is a one-stop shop. With our round-trip airfare included, you'll see online and in our catalog that we have over 30 U.S. and Canadian cities listed. But we're also happy to quote any other departure city that may be more convenient for you, and we can find you a price on that. With our airfare, you can also upgrade to business class for an affordable upgrade charge, and oftentimes our flight and tour combo package price, which includes everything pre- and post-tour accommodations, overseas transfers, and breakfast. Oftentimes that whole package is the same price that you would pay for flights if you just booked the flights on your own. So it really is a great convenience, and it's a great deal.
And Laura, if I can just jump in, we anticipated that perhaps 20 to 30% of our guests might be taking the flight and tour combos. We're actually seeing 60 to 80%. So we're seeing and we're hearing that our guests love them. Not only are you met at the airport upon arrival, but you're brought to the airport in the end. As Laura said, you've got that cushion with the pre- and post nights to help with jet lag and settling in. And it's just a great, like Laura said, it's a great price. A lot of our guests do say that the cost of the flight and tour combo is really about the same price as the airfare alone. So again, it's always worth looking at that. And we also have a large percentage upgrading to business class. So our guests are also finding that the business class fares are very competitive.
Absolutely. And with the pre- and post nights, the package includes usually one night on either end to give you an extra night to get settled in. But we also have extensions on most of our trips, either a couple extra nights in the city previous to the tour or after the tour, so you can really extend a little bit longer and enjoy those cities and really get some time to kind of explore on your own. With the overseas transfer, that's a great point, Jamin, because having somebody pick you up from the airport upon arrival is one of the best benefits of the flight and tour. Our guests love not having to worry about getting a transfer when they arrive, and they can just get right to their vacation without worrying about any of those details. With our flight and tour combo, I do want to mention that you also have the ability to customize your airfare. So a lot of our guests are looking to combine trips, maybe a self-guided with a guided trip, and they're looking to stay longer abroad. So our air team can look into the cost of extending your airfare on either end, so you can fly fly in early or come home later, and even fly out of different cities abroad than what we plan for the tour. A lot of our guests have taken back-to-back tours as well, and we've had some guests combine a self-guided Amalfi Coast with an Italian Dolomites guided, so they get to see northern and southern Italy all in one vacation. So really, you can combine anything, and it's a great way to do multiple trips and see the world.
If I could just mention the other, what I see as a huge benefit of the flight packages is that all you have to do is pay a deposit. And generally, up until about, what, 90 days prior, Laura, you're not out that money if you have to cancel or change. So unlike if you were to go online and book your flight, which is pretty much non-refundable, or will have a very high transfer fee, it's less of a risk. So again, it kind of protects you, unless you're perhaps buying non-contract air, customized. But
yeah, that's a great point. With our contracts, we're able to hold airfare, and even if you don't know if you want to customize at the time of reserving, you really have up until 90 days when you make that final payment to decide on that. And we just have to check the cost of what those different dates of the flights might be, but it really gives our guests a lot of flexibility, and they don't have to decide right away when they're giving us their deposit. So next I want to talk about our Encore loyalty program. So like Jamie mentioned, we do have some Encore-only departures. So for our Encore travelers, we do offer specific departure dates as Encore-only departures, and we usually offer those dates to Encore travelers first. So we sell those trips and offer them first so they can get first crack at those dates. This could be a new trip that we're introducing for that year, or it could be just special departures that include some extras. We also have our Encore savings of 5%. That is available to you whenever you need to book. So there's no blackout dates, there's no deadlines. You can be assured that you will have that 5% savings whenever it's convenient for you to plan your vacation. We also have a book by December 15th right now, and you'd save an additional 5%. So that would be a total of 10% on your trip. So really great deal, and we're excited to hear from you. Then we have our Milestones program, which Jamin also mentioned, and our Milestones savings can be used on any trip that you choose. So 20% off your 5th trip when you take 5 trips, you would get 50% off your 13th, and then 16th trip is absolutely free. And the single supplement is also included in that. We feel that this is the most generous program in the industry, and we have so many guests taking advantage of these milestones. We love hearing from them when they book their Encore trip and finally get to choose which trip is going to be their free trip, and it's really, really exciting. All right. So thank you all for joining us today. I think we're going to pass it back over to Lee to see if we have any questions here, but we're really happy to be on this webinar with everybody, and thanks for joining us.
Yes, my thanks as well, and it was a great webinar. I want to invite all of our audience members listening to type in some questions if you have them, but I also have a question for you that we would like to get some input. As we are preparing for future webinars, we're curious to know what topics you would find appealing, what topics we can bring to you in future webinars. So if you would, in the question box that you see over on the right-hand side of your screen, if you click into the plus sign beside the word questions, you will see that it opens up there. And we'd love for you to send in any questions you might have, but also to let us know what we can do in terms of new topics for you. So take advantage of that, please. And I am looking at our question box now for questions, and we have one here about travel insurance. Do you also offer travel insurance?
Yes, we absolutely do. We work with a company called TripMate, and we can quote that price for you at the time of booking, and then we really recommend purchasing it within 2 weeks because it does include an extra level of coverage for the pre-existing conditions, which a lot of insurance policies cover. So absolutely that can be included with your package. Again, that's just another level of that one-stop shop. So it makes it really convenient for you to make sure you're protecting your investment on your full trip.
And just to kind of add to that, the insurance we always recommend, especially on an active walking tour, since you can sprain an ankle and not necessarily be wanting to join us. But we also include automatically with our tour price, we also include some automatic assistance called on-call, which is 24/7 after-hours assistance. So in other words, if you need assistance with a visa, passport, medical, interpretation, translation. They are available 24/7 for any of our guests, whether or not you've purchased the insurance. And that's, I think, just a really helpful benefit for everybody.
All right, thank you. We have another question here about whether there are plans for more trips in North America.
Yes, we've found that more and more of our guests are traveling to North America, and so we've got, of course, the New Brunswick tour. We are in the early stages of researching a couple of new tours. One new tour that will be introduced in 2018 with probably a prototype in 2017 or early 18 is actually a new tour that I just got back from co-developing, and it's going to be starting in Savannah, Georgia, and include the Golden Isles off of Georgia, and perhaps even include Amelia Island in Florida. Because one thing we've been hearing from many of our guests is that folks are looking for more warm winter getaways, tours they can do in the off-season, and tours that are perhaps a bit flatter and easier. So we are looking for new options within North America, and usually develop one new North America trip a year, I would say. We're also revamping a couple of our tours. So some of our tours we've had for 10, 15 years, and what we also like to do is to shake things up a little bit and revamp them. For example, we're working on revamping our Yellowstone trip a little bit for 2017 and 18 to include some more off the beaten path walks. Because many of our tours in the national parks, once you're off on the trails, you can avoid the crowds, but many more people are going to national parks. So we're also trying to stay ahead of the curve and develop some tours that bring you to some trails and areas, again, away from the crowds. So
all right.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, thank you. And speaking of North America, we have a question about the California Wine Country Tour. On that particular tour, do travelers walk from inn to inn, or do they just stay in one place in Sonoma?
That's a great question. On that particular tour, we use 2 different inns, and we do walks from each of those inns. So some of the walks you actually leave your inn. For example, one of our properties is right off the Sonoma Plaza. So we do some of the walks on foot from the inn, but we do include a transfer between the inns.
Okay, great, thank you. We had some interest in the single supplement, the free single supplement destinations that you mentioned. Do those change every year?
For the most part, yes. We always try to include a few new destinations every year. And we also always want to make sure that we have some free single supplements in North America and Italy, occasionally in Asia, Latin America. So we do try to shake that up every year. But then some of our most popular destinations we will often include year after year based on popular demand.
All right. What about the private trips? Are there a minimum number of guests required to arrange a private trip?
Yes, we are generally looking for a minimum of 6 guests. And again, the nice thing about a private trip is that there's no minimum age. For example, on our guided group tours, we're looking, they're really geared towards adults, and we are looking for a minimum age of at least 13, probably a mature 13-year-old. But with the private trips, they can be really popular for multi-generational groups, younger people. And again, with a private group, you can walk at your own pace. So, but yes, we're generally looking for a minimum group of 6. Now, having said that, our self-guided walking tours are really all private, and that pricing is based on 2 people. So that is based on 2 people, but we can take groups of up to 12 or even more on some destinations on self-guided.
Okay, great, thank you. So I have an Encore member listening today who is wondering about the free trip. Can that be used on any destination?
Yes, it can. In fact, I would have to say our safaris are very, very popular for free trips. Japan, not surprising, our more expensive trips tend to be our most popular free trips, but there's no restrictions. So at this point, any of our guided walking, self-guided, or safaris can be used for any of the Encore milestone trips.
Terrific, thank you. All right. Well, I will stop there with the question and answer and turn it back over to you and to Laura for anything else you might like to share before we go.
Great. Well, thank you, Lee. Yeah, Laura and I just want to say again thank you, and we love to hear from people. So if you have ideas on new destinations or feedback on our trips, our marketing, anything, we always love to hear from folks. And again, if you haven't received any of our fall catalogs, we've got 3. We've got the Safari catalog, which is the self-guided catalog, and the guided group walking catalog. So just let us know. We'd be happy to get those out to you. So, but again, thank you.
And my thanks as well. We appreciate having all of you here today, and we'll conclude our webinar now. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.